Wasabi guys, coming back at y'all with another Commander must-have video. If you are unfamiliar with this series, basically what I do is I go over some of the more recent sets, and I pick one card that I honestly feel is going to see a ton of play in the future and should definitely be picked up now while it is cheap. Now, other cards I've done in this series have also been pretty cheap, so we're going to continue that trend here. We are going to be talking about Thaumatic Compass from Ixalan. Now what it is, it's a 2-mana artifact. It has an activated ability of 3 generic. You tap it and you get to search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your library. That right there might seem a bit tame, it's not that powerful, but you'd be surprised at how good it is to get consistent land drops. You don't have too many of these cards that can guarantee you a land drop so long as you're willing to pay that 3 mana every single turn. Now yes, it's not going to help you ramp within those first 3 turns if you don't have any other ways to mana ramp, but once you're at a position where you depend on land drops, it's very good to have a card like that, especially if you need landfall triggers specifically. Now before we get on to the obvious flip side here, when it comes to just Thaumatic Compass, the best deck that I see this in is Kinios and Tyro of Meletis, because that deck is all about getting land drops. Yes, it is also group hug, but primarily it's about getting the land drops for yourself and making sure that you can also synergize with other landfall strategies. And the flip side also synergizes pretty well in a group hug strategy as well. So we're going to go on to that now, which is Spires of Orazca, which is very similar to Maze of Ith. There is a key difference though. Spires of Orazca can tap for colorless mana, removes creatures from combat. Maze of Ith does not. It just untaps a creature and prevents all combat damage to and from it. Both of these are effectively going to nullify one creature's presence when they attack, so they're both very good defensive lands. However, I feel that Spires of Orazca is a little bit better because it's not just the land part. You also have the benefit of the Thaumatic Compass. Now, Thaumatic Compass, you need to have 7 lands in order to flip it. Almost forgot to mention that there, but that is pretty important, which is honestly why I think it's good, because mid to late game, you just play it and you likely already have 7 lands to where you easily flip it. Not only do you get the Maze of Ith type of land, but you also get a mana producing land if you don't need to deal with attacking creatures, so you're getting a free land there basically. But aside from the whole group hug or trying to prevent creatures from attacking you, this is obviously a card that I would recommend for just about every single pure control deck in this format. And when I say pure control, I'm talking about Oloro decks. And there's other decks that want to take advantage of cards like these because they love Maze of Ith. They want to prevent your opponents from getting the advantage when it comes to creatures. You could also throw Nekosar into that bundle as well. As far as those commanders go, they're very easy to overpower with creatures and numbers. So if you're able to effectively remove their best creature from combat, I think that's pretty good. Now, as far as prices go, like I said at the beginning of the video, the cards that I'm going to be putting in this series are pretty cheap. This one happens to be under $1 for the non-foil regular version from Ixalan. But if you want to get a little bit spicier, you can go get the Buy a Box promo version, which has the cool looking flip side. It looks like a treasure map. And the flip sides for these foil just look beautiful. And you also have the pre-release version. These are going to cost you $4 to $8, depending where you get them from. I mean, foils typically are highly sought after, especially when you talk about flip cards. I believe I mentioned that before with Growing Rights of Itlamok. Card's a little bit more expensive than this one, so definitely get this if you haven't already. I think this is one of the more underrated cards in the entire set that I think people are going to be looking back on, especially when it comes to Commander. And just they're going to see the value in this card because it's so good. We talk about not missing land drops. There's so many decks that wish they could get more land drops. All you have to do is just pay 3 mana and you get the land drop you need. And you set yourself up the next turn because you didn't miss that land drop. Well, anyway, guys, that's going to do it for this video. Let me know what you think about Thaumatic Compass. Let me know what you think about Spires of Orazca. Do you like this card? Do you think it has potential in this format? So far, I think it absolutely does. But anyway, you guys have a wonderful day. Void here signing off.